The Mac McClung era has come to an end. Pacer Nation is not understanding what's going on, why it happened, and me and Facci are going to tell you why today on Setting the Pace. The Pacers have decided to let Mac McClung go, and in addition to that, they are bringing in Monte Morris for this road trip. He actually signed a non-guaranteed deal, and he is not on one of the 10-day hardship exception contracts, so he is on the roster. So Facci and I are going to talk about this move. I also want to get Facci's thoughts on the pickup of Cody Martin, what he likes about his game overall. And then we're going to kick off part one of our mailbag today on the second half of this episode, really the last 5-10 minutes of the episode. We're going to answer one of our questions from the mailbag as we're going to continue to answer those next week. So Pacer Nation, hope you all enjoyed today's show. Let's get to it.
This is Tyrese Halliburton, and you're listening to Setting the Pace.
What is up, Pacer Nation? Welcome back to another episode here of your go-to Pacers podcast. Happy Friday, everybody. Joining me is the man who is feeling a lot better. It is the Faccio man. Facci, how's it going?
I'm back, feeling good. No snot coming out of me. You probably didn't pick up on it, but yeah, I mean, I had to mute it every time I wasn't talking, episode 2 ago, and just sniffle, cough, sneeze, whatever it was, but they couldn't stop me. Unlike, unfortunately, they were able to stop the Pacers recently. So, we're hoping the team's on a better times, just like I'm on a better times.
All right, Facci. Well, let's just put it this way. It is another day in the week, and that means there's another Pacer added to the roster. There's another Pacer off the roster, and just a lot of transactional stuff going on, lots to talk about, which is the only thing making this season somewhat enjoyable, is seeing new players out there in a uniform, guys you never expected to see on the Pacers. But you want to tell everybody what happened today?
We didn't think his time would be long. Some people saw the quote, the years on the contract and said a multi-year deal. Well, a multi-year deal, if it's non-guaranteed, means essentially nothing. Unfortunately, Mac McClung's days as an Indiana Pacer are over. McClung was waived after just a handful of games in Indiana. And you want to tell him who's back as a Pacer, if you could even say that.
I don't think he's officially back, but he is back in the headlines for the Pacers. They got to get a point guard. They don't like what they saw from Mac McClung. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But the guy they're bringing in is Monte Morris, Facci, the name that we first heard right before training camp is who they were going to bring into a training camp deal with a chance to compete against Tony Bradley for the final roster spot. And then what happens? He ends up getting a calf injury. They said, we can't bring him in. They go. They get DeLon Wright. DeLon Wright gets whacked upside the face in the Minnesota preseason game, hits his head on the floor. They're like, we got to have a healthy body. He wasn't fitting. Let's go get Cameron Payne, Facci's favorite backup point guard. And then all of a sudden, after the preseason, we don't even see him play in the first half of their last preseason game. He is cut on the deadline. You have to have your roster set. And then all of a sudden, the Pacers go, you know what? We need some guard depth. We're not healthy now. All these guys are going out left and right. So they bring in Mac McClung, and Mac McClung played a couple of games. That was about it. And I felt like when he was the only player that didn't play in the last game, it was a sign that he wasn't going to be a part of this team moving forward. They said, you know what? We've had enough of Mac. It's time to go back to Monty. So I would just say, DeLon Wright, keep your phone close.
I think that's some good advice because it is musical chairs over here. It really is. So someone's in, someone's out. But for Monte Morris, I'm not going to say I'm excited, but I liked when the initial signing happened. I was. I thought, you know what? This is a stable veteran point guard who's been around this league for a while, has always had a really good assist to turnover ratio of about 3 assists per turnover. So, always enjoyed that. He's had multiple seasons in this league where he's put up double-digit points per game. I thought the injury that he had came at a bad time because I thought if he was just healthy, there wouldn't have been a DeLon Wright. There wouldn't have been a Cameron Payne. There wouldn't have been a Mac McClung. Like anything of that sort, I think he would have won the job. So I'm glad the Pacers stayed in touch. Sounds like it's going to happen. And I think for Monte Morris, this is someone that, you're not going to get super excited about what's he going to average or this or that. But you know that he's a capable guard that I think can be trusted if needed.
Well, I will say what's really interesting to me with Monte Morris is I had found out that it was Monte Morris who was with Cody Martin and Mac McClung in that workout the Pacers did to bring in another guard, and Mac McClung won the workout. So for them to give Mac McClung the multi-year non-guaranteed contract, I think Rick Carlisle said it was his first ever NBA standard contract that he had gotten. So, not long lived, but I will just say, like, for that to be the case, and then you see they sign Cody Martin to a hardship exception deal, and then bring in Monte Morris, makes you kind of wonder, like, why did they bring Monty in before Cody Martin? Maybe they were waiting for them to waive Mac and then bring Monty in, or maybe they were just like, Mac's not a good fit. Who's the next best guy? But I agree with you, though. I think that he's just a much more stable
Yeah.
point guard. To me, when I watched Mac McClung play, it was all about how many shots can he put up. And
Yep.
I think Monty's going to be the complete opposite. He'll shoot when he's
Completely
open.
agree.
More like a this is a weird comparison, more like a CJ Watson level of backup.
Okay. CJ was solid backup. It's like that's what he was. He wasn't a starting caliber guard, but he was a solid backup that could run an offense. If needed, he can provide some scoring, but like he's not a scorer. Like you look at Monty Morris, like you're not saying, all right, we need 10 to 15 tonight. It's like, hey, can you get us 5 assists? Can you get us 5 assists off the bench? Could you do anything of that sort? And I feel like he can. So, he's had some good years in the past with Denver, and I just think that overall, I mean, even in Washington, he averaged double digits. So he's got 4 different seasons in the NBA where he averaged, 10 or more. And I think it's great. Sure, it's, for the most part, a few years ago. But like I said, the assist to turnover ratio has always been there. He's always been a solid 3-point shooter. For his career, he was a 39% 3-point shooter with seasons where he's shot 42% from the field, 41%. I just think that he's someone like, we talked about the Pacers 3-point shooting is downright awful this year. Is he going to solve it? No. Is he a guy that can hit some threes? Yes. I just think that overall, from a point guard, he can give you 10 to 15 minutes if needed, and he's not going to mess anything up.
Well, look at this Pacers team, and look who's bringing the ball up the court right now with this group. You're asking Pascal to play point guard for the majority of the time when he's out there. We know Jarris has been playing some point. I do not like when Neesmith tries to initiate offense. He's more of a catch-and-shoot kind of guy. I've seen a little bit of Ben Shepherd, haven't loved it, but even last night against the Nets in the first half, Isaiah Jackson was bringing the ball up the court. I mean, the Pacers are kind of just like strapped right now for guards.
Yeah.
And when you're that strapped for guards and you're not playing one of them that you have in Mac McClung, okay, what's your next bet? Okay, Ray J. Dennis? He played 5 minutes. He's done with the back injury. Like, is it really smart to even suit him up if he's not healthy at this point? Like, you've got Talon Peter, you got Ben Shepherd, and now you got Monte Morris, okay? So it's like, I think that maybe that means Andrew Nembhard could be coming back sooner, right? But the fact that they've went out and got another point guard, and they know like Quentin's going to be out for a while, Furphy's going to be out for a little while. We saw that stuff. But it's like these guards and these forwards, these guards and these wings that you're really wanting to like see, they're not healthy. And so what do? You have to go out there and find talent. And right now, I think they've kind of used their 10-day hardships to kind of fill the Obi Toppin void, right? Because, Cody Martin, I wouldn't say he's a power forward, but he can play small ball power forward. And I think Jeremiah Robinson-Earl has been probably one of their better backups at the power forward spot.
He was rebounding.
15.
He was rebounding yesterday. I mean, look, it was good to see. For Jeremiah Robinson-Earl to have,
What are these names we're talking about? This is ridiculous.
This is crazy. It's November 6th when we're recording this. And we're like, yo, Jeremiah Robinson-Earl on a 10-day, like 15 boards. Like, this is not something that you want to see, but like, it's like, hey, for a guy on a 10-day deal, 8 and 15, 2 assists, solid, didn't shoot the ball well, but I just feel like usually a 10-day contract, you get just about nothing out of. These are guys that at least have been around, like Cody Martin on a 10-day contract. Cody Martin's at least an NBA player. Like he's been around for 6, 7 seasons, and I
6,
feel
7?
like he's yeah. Fell into that one.
You said it.
But I did. That just shows my age. I just didn't even realize what I was doing. But look, these are capable NBA players, but at the same point, there's only so many guys that you could bring in before it just starts to get tough for anyone to really, get chemistry together. And this is really what we've talked about of like this Pacers team has chemistry has actually been their superpower the last few years. It was like that starting 5 that played together the most, or anything of the sort. And now it's just like this guy's in, this guy's out. Let's go Ray J. Dennis. Let's go. There's new starters what feels like every single game.
Yeah, and that's where they're at. And we'll see. Like, could Monty Morris be the starter for this team over one of the next 2 games? I wouldn't surprise me, but like it's just funny because it's like they just are going through so many different guards, so many different groups. It's like there's no way to really know what to expect, and that's kind of where we're at with this team. But I would just ask you, because a lot of people are saying, at least in my mentions about Mac McClung, he never got a fair chance. They didn't give him the opportunity. When he got the opportunity, he played well. This was a misstep by the Pacers. Why aren't they giving him minutes when they gave him a contract on a standard contract? Like, what's going on? I just want you to kind of respond to what fans are asking because I've got my opinions and I want to like echo what you have to say.
Well, I think for also, they give him a standard contract. Well, they couldn't give him a two-way contract. That's one thing that you need to factor in is that he used up all of his eligibility as a two-way. So that wasn't an option. And, it's a multi-year deal. It means nothing if it's non-guaranteed. I wanna get that across once again. I feel that Mac McClung is, one of those fringe guys between a two-way and a standard where he's just unfortunately not good enough to be a standard, and he's a really good two-way player, like in terms of like a G League. Like, he's too good for the G League, but he's just probably not good enough for, the NBA standard type of contract on a team that's looking to, play meaningful minutes. If you looked at the 3 appearances that he made, did he score in double-digit figures in one of those games? Yeah, he scored 12 in a 20-point loss to the Atlanta Hawks, all right? That can be misleading. He had some plays against Dallas where I remember he had 5 steals in that game against, that span of Atlanta and Dallas. I thought, like I said, that was a compliment that I gave him a couple episodes ago, was I said he had active hands. I felt like he was battling for loose balls and there was even a block in there. Like he was just being active. But in terms of like, I just mentioned Monte Morris as a 3-point shooter, career 39% shooter, from 3. Mac McClung in those games was 1 of 10, 2 of 10 from 3. 2 of 10. I mean, look, sure, it's better than 1 of 10, but it ain't good overall. So it just shows that he's not a good shooter. He's a bit undersized. I just feel like he's 6'2" is what he's listed on ESPN. We know that doesn't really mean what it used to be. So, he's probably a bit closer to 6 foot. I just feel like it was a good story to, have him sign his first standard deal, but he's not able to run this offense the way that the Pacers need to be able to run this offense.
Okay, so this is what I said after the game against the Hawks, the terrible game we saw where they lost by 20 points. He had 12, like you mentioned in that game. But Facci, when he came onto the court, he took as many shots in 7 minutes as Pascal had taken in 14, okay?
12 shots in 19 minutes. That's a lot for a guy, who's,
But I'm just saying in the first half, him and Siakam were tied with 6 field goal attempts. Siakam had played like 14 minutes, he had played 7. And it was just like, anytime he had an open look, he was shooting, which, hey, I appreciate the confidence. Like, hey, the Pacers like when guys take open looks. Like, because there's other times where you're like, hey, I wish so-and-so would take an open look when it's there. Like, it took a while, I think, for Nesmith to really just start letting them fly from 3, right? I know Ben Shepherd, it's taken him some time, too. Like, sometimes Ben Shepherd won't even look at the rim when he just passes it up real quick. But this is part of the development of this team. But, like, Mac didn't have that problem. The problem with Mac McClung to me a little bit is just he's always, like, looking to score when he's out there on the court because I think he's trying to prove that he belongs. And I think if he would have been just more bought into like a more traditional point guard a little bit, just with the system or like take better shots. Because there was a couple drives where he like drove in and like threw it up and like hit the opposite side of the backboard. I'm like, okay, this is not a good shot. Like, what else are you going to do at this point? But like, he's a good kid. Like, don't get me wrong. I want him to do well. I want him to land somewhere. I think that he's got talent to be on a 15-man roster, like you mentioned earlier. But for the Pacers, like, they're kind of strapped right now. They need guards that make more sense to get the rest of the team involved. And I just don't really see that with him in terms of his skill set. Don't think he's a bad player. Ray J. Dennis wasn't doing much better, but there's a reason why Ray J's pretty hurt with a bad back injury, so he's playing through it. And Mac just really like he doesn't fit exactly what they need, and it's a small sample size. Like I'll give you that. Maybe if he had gotten 20, 25 games to do that, it is what it is. But they were paying him, Facci, and that's the big thing too. You got to remember they were paying him, and when he's getting a coach's decision DNP, when you're that thin and you're playing 2 guys on 10-day hardship contracts over him, like that's a big deal. But I will say this quickly. The Pacers will incur a $164,060 cap tax hit for this season for the Mac McClung contract that they did sign per Bobby Marks. So all of it's non-guaranteed, though, after that.
Mhm. Hey, look, Pacers aren't one to waste dollars. They're not. But I think in this scenario with that, if they weren't going to play him, yeah, like that doesn't make sense to keep him around. I don't want this to sound disrespectful or anything like this, but I think that Mac McClung is the type of guy that could dominate on Europe or overseas. Like I feel like he would be someone that would put up numbers. We've even seen him put up numbers in the G League. Someone even said to me in one of our episodes in the comments, they're like, this is ridiculous. Like Mac McClung's a great player in the G League. Like he should be getting more minutes. Trevelin Queen, who a former Pacer, was a G League MVP and G League Finals MVP, wasn't even ever able to crack minutes, with Indiana outside of a handful of minutes here and there, and then is out of the league. Like, it's a different game. It really is night and day. And unfortunately, you can't look too much into G League stats. I just feel like for Mac McClung, like I said before, I think he's just such a fringe NBA player that, like, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if he played overseas and dominated, but I just don't see it in the NBA outside of, athleticism like dunking and things like that.
And I would like to know what fans liked about his game. I know a lot of people have said, well, he should have played more. Well, why should he have played more? Give me a reason what he was doing. Like, aside from saying, well, he's super athletic and won the slam dunk contest 3 years in a row, what he did on the court, how did he impact the game that much? I'm
Yeah,
just curious.
I
I'm
I
not
just
saying I'm wrong. I'm right and you're wrong. I'm just saying, what did you see? Tell me.
I think some people just see him and just think that he's relatable. Like, "Oh, wow, look at him. Hey, look, give the kid a shot, give the kid a shot." It's like, "All right, we're trying to win games, man. We were just in the finals last year. Like, this isn't April of the regular season. We got nothing to play for. Like, we're trying to figure this out before it's too late." And I just feel like it's like this is yeah, give me Monty Morris who's been around and like started a ton of games in the NBA and produced, rather than the guy who's truly fighting for his life in the league and feels that if he gets 10 minutes, he's got to get up 10 shots or anything of the sort. Like Monty Morris will fit in where I feel like Mac McClung at times was actually trying to stand out. And I feel like that's not really what Indiana needed.
No, I don't think so at all,
Actually,
Foch.
I want to say this. Point
Yep.
guard, Mac McClung. So he ended up playing um 34 minutes, as a Pacer.
Okay.
How many assists did he have?
1.
1. He had 1 assist in 34 minutes. And now let's compare him to the guy that I said has a 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio for his career. A guy who's averaged over 5 assists per game in numerous seasons. Like, that says a lot when you're looking for point guard play. I just
Yeah.
feel like Mac McClung is a scoring guard who's undersized that isn't an efficient scorer.
Now, I will say this. If the Noblesville Boom were able to acquire the G League rights to Mac McClung and he was able to join their squad,
Sure.
I think you could see a lot of fans going down to Noblesville to watch Mac McClung. I mean, he can put on a show. Like, in the G League, he is a phenomenal player.
Yep.
And right now, like, the star of the Noblesville Boom, it's like Kyle Guy, Jalen Slauson, and Gabe McLaughlin. 2 guys you saw playing garbage time
Yep.
in preseason play. So it's like that is a level of play and difference between the NBA and the G League. And so it is tough. I mean, Oscar Tshiebwe won Rookie of the Year in the G League. Okay.
Did. That's another example of we talk about these rookie of the years, G League, MVP, this, that. It really doesn't mean that much in the NBA. And it's
Yeah.
unfortunate because look, obviously you're a talented player to be able to do that, but the competition is just so different on the next level that yeah, and I remember fans were annoyed when we didn't keep Oscar because that man could rebound like no other, but I mean, it still hasn't really paid off. So yeah, for Mac McClung, just wasn't meant to be. And I'll say this: hey, if it's meant to be, if you love him, let him go. See if he comes back to you. I'll say one thing: Monty Morris, he came back. All right. So at the same point,
Okay.
maybe it was just meant to be.
Yeah, I mean, that's who they wanted originally, right? So maybe that's what they were thinking. Like maybe he wasn't as healthy in that workout. Maybe he's healthier now. Maybe they did another workout, another test with him and see what he looks like. I don't know. I mean, all we know is that he's now on the team, and I think he's going to be a more calming presence out there on the floor and gives them that floor general that they need. Now, I do quickly before we move on here, Foch, want to get your thoughts on Cody Martin because no, it's a 10-day hardship deal, but I've always kind of liked the Martin twins, right? Um, His brother, I think, has had more success than him. He's been mostly playing in Charlotte, but I felt like every time the Pacers played Cody Martin in Charlotte, he always had good games against them. And I think he needs to get in game shape still. That was one of the things I brought up on the recap yesterday. Is like you could tell he was getting pretty winded early, but one of the things I love that he did early in that first quarter, maybe it was the second quarter, he had a behind the what's the right way? He stole it from behind. Somebody was dribbling, he came up from behind him, poked the ball away, stole it, and dunked it. I mean, that's just the kind of level of play that he plays with. I think he's a better defender, and might actually be a better fit just right now in terms of winning than a Taylor Peter. But I think that experience matters. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on Cody Martin?
Cody Martin's absolutely an NBA player. Like, just how I felt about, in terms of how I felt about Mac McClung is not how I feel about Cody Martin. Cody Martin is an NBA talent. I think that at times, yeah, he hasn't been like an efficient player. It's been a little bit up and down, but I just feel like he's shown enough in this league that, like, hey, he could be physical, he could rebound, he could, he's had some seasons where he even averaged almost 4 assists. So it was about 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 7.5 points. Like, he's shown that at times, and sure, there were some bad Charlotte teams, but like he's still an NBA guy. And we're talking about a 10-day hardship contract here, not a standard spot. So I like the pickup, and I feel like, yeah, this is someone that if given an opportunity for a little bit extra playing time here and there, I do feel that he could make the most of it. Now, will he get that full on opportunity? Yeah, I really don't know if he will, but in terms of the 10-day, oh yeah, this is a good pickup.
I will say, like, one thing I like, let's see here. One thing I like about him is, like, he's just sturdy, right? Like, he's not gonna get pushed over. Like, he's got the body of an NBA player. Where some guys kinda come in a little bit thinner. I just feel like he's got that physical build to him, that physical tool to him, where he can kinda get a little bit, physical, I guess you could say. Same with Jeremiah Robinson Earl. Like, these guys aren't really, like, gonna get knocked around like you might see Jay Huff at times, where he's a little bit thinner in frame. I'm just trying to give a comparison here. Like Tyrese, thinner in frame, like doesn't have that muscular body. But, the three-point shooting is not great from Cody Martin. That's what I was looking at here. I'm like, man, this is not great. At first, I was looking at this and I said, oh, those are pretty good percentages. Then I realized for corner threes, that's actually the percentages of attempts, not makes. So I think there's only 3 seasons where he had over 35% from 3 in the corners. So it's like small sample size. I think he's not going to provide a lot of that stuff, but I think just getting pesky out there and just trying to like muck things up a little bit, that's going to be his MO. But we do want to get things started off here with a little appetizer, Facci, for our mailbag. Okay, so it's our Friday mailbag, actually our November mailbag, excuse me, and we're going to be talking, answering all your questions throughout the week next week. But we're going to start tonight with one question that we got from our friends at the Blue and Gold Buzz. It's my guy Noah. He's actually going to be joining me for one of the recaps on the West Coast road trip. So wanted to answer this one here, Facci, but go ahead and read the question.
All right. So for Noah, I got to
Blue
find
and
the
Gold Buzz.
terms of the order that they were in. All right, blue and I got you. 3 players on this roster, injured or healthy, that you would move off of for the betterment of next year. 2 players you want to see getting minutes next year that you didn't coming into this year.
Good question. I think the last one's easier to answer than the first one. For me, I would just I don't know if we're probably in unison on this, but 2 guys we probably want to see get more minutes that we didn't really expect this year. I'd say Johnny Furphy and Quentin Jackson.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome. I think you could also, throw in some Cam Jones because
Good, yeah, that's a good one.
yeah, I think Cam Jones, you haven't seen any minutes. It's been unfortunate. But like in a season that's not going so well, you really root for your rookies and you want to see them develop. And it's been unfortunate to not be able to see any sort of development. So I'd say Cam Jones, I'd slide him in there.
Okay,
Johnny Furphy, we were so excited about Furphy that it's just been, 2 different injuries or, lingering injuries. It's been really, really tough. Quentin Jackson, just when he, hooks all Pacer fans and we're all invested after that Golden State performance, to see him go down just had us like wanting more. So all 3 guys I think are relevant, even if you only ask for 2.
Okay, now the first part, I guess it could be pretty simple if you want to go the easy route and say 3 players you'd like to see them move off of for the betterment of the team. You could literally just say Jay Huff, Tony Bradley, and then whatever other player you want to add into that. I feel like that's a cop-out.
I mean, Tony Bradley's gotta be in there just because I think that's, like, the unanimous decision. Jay Huff
Yeah.
has been a major letdown. I just really unfortunate. I know the Pacers barely traded anything for him, but, I mean, you've really just in terms of what expectations could have been, it's so far below. So, I think of that, and then, like, the sad thing is we've seen so many two-way guys and, like, even 10-day hardships that it's, like, it's hard to even kinda weed them out and say, "Well, it doesn't really count," but it's just like, we've already seen a lot of Ray J, and things like that. So, in terms of like a third, that part gets a little bit tough, but there's definitely some players that you're like, I could do without him.
I mean, anytime we talk bad about Mathurin, people get mad, right? It's like if you bring up the name Ben Mathurin and talk about him not being on this team, I know there's like people that are so like tired of hearing that narrative. So I'm not even saying that I would move off of Mathurin for the betterment of the team. I think if the right trade is there and he doesn't want to come off the bench, or you don't think he's a starter long term, then that's a conversation that you have to have. But somebody else, maybe that could be getting in the way of somebody. Now, let's just throw this out here as a scenario. What if the Pacers stay bad record-wise and they get a top 3 draft pick and they get one of these forwards to back up, and eventually be the replacement for Pascal Siakam whenever his time is up? Is Obi Toppin really worth keeping on here long term, especially coming off this foot injury? I mean,
Yeah.
that's a big question to ask, and I think another name, honestly, it's Ben Shepherd. Does Ben Shepherd really fit this team?
I know. I mean, Move Shepard's had his struggles, and at this point, I've just kind of lost, like, the hope of, like, hey, he can really develop into something. Now it more just seems like, all right, he's a role player, like, he is what he is, and, like, gets to the point where I think next year then he'd be making, like, over $5 million per year in a time where you're still looking to pay Mathurin, and it's just, eventually you're gonna have to make some hard decisions. So I'm not pushing him out the door by any means, but in terms of, like, an Obi Toppin, like, I would be willing to, if you could, move Obi Toppin, but think about this, like, you're gonna try and so this is year 2 of Obi Toppin's extension. He's gonna miss the majority of this year. I mean, he'll be
Right.
back maybe in February. You don't wanna rush him back. So, clearly, you're not trading him, like, this year. No one's
No,
gonna
but for next season.
yeah, but in terms of for next season, I don't know what you then need to, like, attach to him or anything like that. 2 years left on the deal is not bad, but it's not expiring like that, but I do think that he would open up more playing time needed for, some other player to be able to make an impact. Like, we've already been playing Jarris potentially out of position, but if Walker's gonna develop and then you wanna bring in a high draft pick, like, yeah, there's not enough room for everyone, and you can't afford to bring in another top 5, top 10 pick and just really not play them like their rookie
Yeah.
year. Feels, like a bit of a detriment.
Well, it depends on where you land right in the draft. I mean, all that matters. It's way too early to know right now. Maybe this is a question we can answer in April, as things get closer. So that would be the way I would approach this, Facci, because, like, who knows what the roster is going to look like in 4 months, right? You know what I mean? Like, we can't say, like, right now, like, we know what they have, but, like, so many guys are hurt. And it's like, I don't really want to break up any of this core because I want to see what it looks like healthy with Halliburton back. But I know that could take a little bit of time next year too. So it's all just a waiting game, and I think it's going to be difficult. There is elements of Mathurin's game that make this team very appealing to, like, what his skill set is, because it's a lot of difference than what they normally like to run. But I think that can be good. So it's like, if you want to keep Mathurin long term, you want to maybe bring Neesmith off the bench. Will Neesmith buy into that position? Maybe so. I don't know. He's probably going to make less money, so you could play that card as well. I don't think Nembhard coming off the bench makes a lot of sense just because of needing another point guard next to Ty. But if you do get a power forward as well in the draft to kind of be Pascal's replacement, where's the place for Jarris? Where's the place for all these players if you keep Mathurin? It's really confusing to me. It's a very hard thing to look. Again, we're talking about Furphy too. Where minutes for him? You got too many guys almost at one point. Now, it's weird saying that now, but when healthy, that's kind of where it's at.
No, it's true. We've talked about this consolidation trade for so long, like, it hasn't happened, and now you
We'll
look
get
at
Rooster going.
yeah, and you have just so many players that want to play, are still young and developing, but you just don't have all the unlimited time. I think the thing that complicates most is, yeah, if the Pacers do have a top 10 pick and they actually use the selection, things just got way more complicated. So it's like it's almost like you don't want to force them to then just well, you got to trade that pick. But then if you're going to trade the pick, you got to strap it with a player and get him out. You still have to make a trade to figure this out because they can't go into next year with like, well, we don't have the center position figured out.
That's the thing. They got to fill that.
3 more centers, and figure it. You can't do it. You got to figure it out. So it's like they have some serious questions to answer, and I think it's going to take throughout the year, and maybe we'll learn a little bit more. Not to say once like December 15th comes, but then it's like the trade deadline later on, where like you could really start to get your first answers, especially if the Pacers are not where they need or want to be.
All right, everybody, that's going to do it for today's episode here on Setting the Pace. Hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. If you didn't, or you did, let us know in the comments section on YouTube, and let us know what you guys are thinking you would do with that question that we were asked there. So with that being said, Facci, if you're hoping the Pacers can get off to a nice win on their road trip against Denver, a very tough opponent on Saturday night, then hit me with those 3 words.
Let's go, Pacers.